They said strength lies in muscles, but history whispered, true strength lies in the mind. And when that mind belongs to a woman, it can move mountains, heal generations, and build empires out of hope. Today, I'm not just speaking about women, I'm speaking about the unstoppable power that rises when a woman's mind decides, I will not give up. Resilience over resistance. It's one of the most powerful forces that defines the strength of a woman's mind. You see, resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being able to bend, to fall, to shatter even, and still find a way to rise again, stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. A woman's journey is rarely smooth. She faces expectations, responsibilities, judgments, and at times, deep silence from the world around her. Yet somehow, she learns to stand up each morning with courage stitched into her soul. That's resilience. The art of transforming pain into power, tears into teaching, and scars into stories that inspire. When life challenges her, she doesn't run away. She breathes, she thinks, she adapts. Her mind whispers, this is not the end. This is the beginning of becoming someone even greater. The strength of her mind lies not in avoiding difficulty, but in facing it with grace. Every failure becomes a lesson, every rejection becomes redirection, and every wound becomes wisdom. Think of every great woman who changed the world. From mothers who raised families in hardship to leaders who stood tall in the face of doubt. They all shared one quality: resilience. Not perfection, not privilege, but a mindset that refused to be defeated. Because a resilient woman doesn't see obstacles as walls. She sees them as doors waiting to be opened with patience and faith. Resilience teaches her that growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when she feels like giving up, yet decides to keep going anyway. It's in those moments when her mind says, I have nothing left, and her heart quietly replies, yes, you do. That conversation between her mind and her heart, that's where strength is born. And when she rises after every fall, she sends a message to the world. You can test me, you can doubt me, but you cannot break me. Her resilience becomes a silent revolution, one that reminds others that true strength is not loud, it's not violent, it's not boastful, it's calm, it's steady. It's the power to begin again, no matter how many times she has been knocked down. So, when we talk about the strength of a woman's mind, remember this: resilience is not her defense mechanism, it's her identity. It's what allows her to keep loving even after heartbreak, to keep dreaming even after disappointment, and to keep believing even after the world says no, because she knows that every storm eventually passes, but what it leaves behind is a stronger version of her, unshaken, unstoppable, and unafraid to rise again. Emotional intelligence. It is the quiet strength that defines the depth of a woman's mind. It's not just about feeling deeply, it's about understanding those feelings, shaping them, and using them as a force for wisdom, connection, and growth. A woman with emotional intelligence doesn't suppress her emotions. She listens to them. She allows herself to feel pain without letting it poison her, to feel anger without letting it destroy her, and to feel love without losing herself in it. That balance, that inner harmony, is what makes her powerful beyond measure. In a world that often mistakes sensitivity for weakness, a woman's emotional intelligence becomes her greatest armor. She reads not only the words people say, but the silence between them. She senses pain hidden behind a smile and hope buried under despair. Her mind is trained not to react, but to respond, not to judge, but to understand. That's the brilliance of her emotional strength. It's not loud, but it's deeply aware. When life tests her, she doesn't let emotions control her decisions. She lets them inform her wisdom. She knows that emotions are not enemies, they are messengers. They tell her what needs healing, what deserves attention, and what must be released. Instead of running from them, she embraces them, learns from them, and transforms them into clarity. That's how she finds calm in chaos and grace in moments of pain. Her emotional intelligence is also what gives her the ability to connect, truly connect, with others. She listens with empathy, not ego. When someone is hurting, she doesn't try to fix them immediately. She first feels their pain with them. That simple act of presence, of saying, "I understand," can heal more than 1,000 words. And in doing so, she becomes a source of strength for others, not because she has all the answers, but because she creates a space where others can be honest, seen, and understood. A woman with emotional intelligence knows that strength is not about hiding emotions behind a smile. It's about mastering them, letting them guide her decisions instead of clouding them. She can walk into a room filled with tension and bring peace with just her presence. Because her mind is calm, her heart is steady, and her soul is centered. She doesn't let external chaos shake her inner world. She becomes the calm within the storm. Even in her moments of vulnerability, she shows power. She knows that crying doesn't make her weak. It cleanses her spirit. She understands that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing herself from the burden of bitterness. Emotional intelligence gives her the wisdom to know when to hold on and when to let go, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to fight and when to walk away. Through every heartbreak, every disappointment, and every loss, she learns more about herself. She realizes that her emotions are not a burden, but a compass, pointing her toward her truth. She becomes emotionally mature enough to choose peace over pride, understanding over argument, and healing over revenge. That's the beauty of her strength. She doesn't just survive emotional storms, she learns how to dance in their rain. So when we talk about the strength of a woman's mind, emotional intelligence is not just a trait, it's her superpower. It's what allows her to lead with empathy, to love with wisdom, and to rise with compassion. Because she knows that the real test of strength is not how hard you can be, but how deeply you can feel and still choose to shine. Vision beyond circumstance. It is the silent fire that burns within a woman's mind, even when the world around her is dark. It is the ability to see possibilities where others see problems, to imagine new beginnings in the middle of endings, and to believe in a future that hasn't yet revealed itself. A woman with vision doesn't allow her surroundings to define her. She allows her dreams to guide her. She doesn't wait for perfect conditions. She creates them with courage, faith, and an unshakable sense of purpose. When life places her in situations that seem impossible, she doesn't surrender to despair. Instead, she lifts her eyes above the chaos and asks herself, "What can I build from this?" That question alone becomes her strength. Where others see limits, she sees lessons. Where others see obstacles, she sees opportunities. Her vision is not just about ambition, it's about awareness. It's the understanding that even the hardest seasons of life are shaping her into someone capable of achieving what once seemed unreachable. She knows that vision begins in the mind before it becomes reality. Every great achievement, every revolution, every act of change in history began first as an invisible idea in someone's thoughts. And a woman with vision protects her thoughts like sacred seeds. She waters them daily with hope, nourishes them with consistency, and guards them from the weeds of doubt. Her vision might not make sense to others, but she doesn't need approval. She needs persistence. Because she knows that those who cannot see what she sees are not meant to understand her path. The strength of her mind lies in her ability to dream beyond her circumstances. Even when she's surrounded by limitations, lack of resources, lack of support, or even lack of recognition, her vision keeps her alive. It becomes her light in the darkness. It reminds her that where she is now is not where she will always be. She carries within her the blueprint of something greater, something the world hasn't seen yet. And that belief gives her energy when everything else feels empty. A woman with vision doesn't allow her past to chain her future. She may have faced rejection, heartbreak, or failure, but she understands that none of those define her. They refine her. Every setback is shaping her into the kind of woman who can carry the weight of her dreams. Her mind sees beyond the current moment, beyond pain, beyond doubt. She envisions herself walking boldly into the life she deserves, and that picture becomes her motivation. When she speaks about her dreams, people might laugh or doubt her, but she doesn't argue, she simply works. Her focus is silent but fierce. She understands that vision is not proven by words, but by results. She knows that her time will come, and when it does, those who once doubted her will stand amazed, because vision has a way of turning impossible into inevitable. Her vision also extends beyond herself. She doesn't dream only for her own success, but for the impact she can make on others. She imagines a world where more women rise, where more voices are heard, where compassion leads instead of competition. Her dreams are not just personal, they're purposeful. That's why her vision is powerful. It carries the potential to transform not just her life, but the lives of everyone she touches. Even when the road ahead is unclear, she trusts the journey. She understands that faith is seeing light with your heart when your eyes see darkness. And so, she keeps walking, guided by the vision only she can see. She knows that someday, everything she imagined will stand before her in reality, not because she was lucky, but because she dared to believe when no one else did. That is the strength of her mind, the ability to look beyond what is and to focus on what can be, to live in a world full of limits, yet think in a language of possibilities. Because a woman with vision doesn't wait for the future to arrive, she creates it. A grace under pressure, it is the quiet, steady strength that defines the heart and mind of a woman when life decides to test her the hardest. It's not the absence of fear, chaos, or difficulty. It's the ability to stay composed, centered, and kind even when everything around her feels like it's falling apart. Grace under pressure is not weakness, it's mastery. It's the art of being calm in the storm, of maintaining dignity in the face of disrespect, and of choosing peace when anger would be easier. When the world pushes her to her limits, a woman with grace doesn't lose herself in the noise. She pauses, she breathes, she gathers her strength from within, and she responds instead of reacting. There's a deep intelligence in her calmness, an awareness that her energy is too precious to be wasted on every battle. She knows that not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every challenge requires aggression. Sometimes the most powerful thing she can do is remain still, composed, and unshaken. Grace under pressure is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about facing pain without letting it poison the spirit. It's about walking through chaos with her head held high, her voice steady, and her heart soft enough to still love, even when she's breaking inside. Her grace doesn't mean she doesn't feel the pressure. It means she refuses to let that pressure define her behavior. She knows that storms will come and go, but how she carries herself through them is what defines her strength. You see, anyone can be graceful when life is easy. True grace appears when things get hard, when she's hurt, misunderstood, or betrayed, yet she still chooses not to harm others in return. That's real power. It takes tremendous strength to respond with kindness when anger feels justified, to stay gentle when the world turns cruel, and to keep her integrity when everything around her tempts her to lose it. That's the kind of grace that turns pain into purpose. A woman with grace under pressure doesn't crumble. When life grows heavy, she adapts. She adjusts her crown quietly, wipes her tears privately, and keeps moving forward without making noise about her struggle. She doesn't seek sympathy, she seeks growth. Every challenge becomes another lesson in self-control, patience, and faith. And because of that, she becomes unshakable, not because she hasn't been through storms, but because she learned how to dance in the rain without losing her rhythm. There's a rare beauty in that kind of calm strength. When others panic, she becomes the steady heartbeat in the room. When emotions run wild, her presence reminds everyone that stability is possible. Her calmness is contagious. It reassures, it heals, it inspires. People may wonder how she manages to stay so composed, but what they don't see are the silent battles she's fought, the moments when she had every reason to lose control, but chose grace instead. Her grace doesn't mean she's submissive or silent. It means she chooses her peace over chaos. It means she speaks truth with compassion, she leads with humility, and she forgives with wisdom. It takes a strong mind to choose empathy over ego, to show patience instead of pride, and to rise above pettiness without losing authenticity. That's what grace under pressure looks like. Power wrapped in peace. In her calmness, there is confidence. In her silence, there is strength. She doesn't rush to prove her worth or argue her value because she knows who she is. The storms may shake her surroundings, but they cannot shake her spirit. She has learned that control doesn't come from changing everything around her. It comes from mastering herself within. And so, even when the world demands her reaction, she gives her reflection. She knows that dignity is not about being perfect, but about being composed even in imperfection. She turns challenges into classrooms, criticism into clarity, and pressure into polish, because she understands that diamonds are made under pressure, and so are extraordinary women. That is the strength of a woman's mind, to walk through fire and still speak with kindness, to be surrounded by noise yet stay grounded in silence, and to face the weight of life with unshakable grace. Because no matter how fierce the storm, her calm will always be louder. Self-belief, it is the heartbeat of a woman's strength, the invisible force that moves her forward when everything around her says she cannot. It is that quiet voice inside her that whispers, "I can," even when doubt, fear, and failure shout louder. A woman who believes in herself becomes unstoppable, not because life becomes easier, but because her spirit becomes unbreakable. She understands that no one can truly empower her until she decides to empower herself. Self-belief is not arrogance, it is awareness, the understanding that she has value, purpose, and power even when no one acknowledges it. From a very young age, the world tries to tell women what they can and cannot do. It sets invisible limits and gives them labels that try to define their worth. But the woman who learns to believe in herself breaks every one of those invisible walls. She stops waiting for someone else to tell her that she's enough. She looks in the mirror and realizes that her validation doesn't come from others. It comes from within. Her self-belief becomes her armor, her anchor, and her light in dark places. When life throws challenges her way, she doesn't crumble under criticism or rejection. She knows that rejection does not mean she's not good enough. It simply means that something better is waiting for her. Her belief in herself gives her the courage to begin again, to take risks, and to trust her journey even when she can't see the outcome. She may doubt at times. She may question herself in moments of weakness, but she never stays in that space for long. She pulls herself back up and says, "I am capable, I am worthy, and I am becoming everything I am meant to be." Self-belief is not loud confidence. It's quiet consistency. It's the decision to keep showing up for herself, even when no one is watching. It's choosing progress over perfection, effort over excuses. She may fail, she may stumble, but she doesn't let failure define her. She lets it refine her. She understands that every mistake carries a message. Every setback hides a seed of strength, and every delay prepares her for what she truly deserves. A woman with self-belief doesn't compete with others. She competes with her own potential. She understands that comparison is the thief of joy, so instead of measuring her worth by someone else's success, she focuses on her own growth. She celebrates her small victories, she learns from her struggles, and she keeps her eyes fixed on her own lane. That's the power of belief. It keeps her grounded in gratitude and driven by purpose. There will be moments when others doubt her, when people misunderstand her dreams, when life feels like it's testing her faith. But even then, she holds on to her inner voice. She knows that her dreams were planted in her heart for a reason, and if she can imagine them, she can achieve them. She reminds herself that she's not behind, she's not too late, she's not too small, she's exactly where she needs to be, preparing for something extraordinary. Self-belief also gives her the courage to walk alone when necessary. She understands that not everyone will understand her journey, and that's okay. She doesn't beg for acceptance. She builds her own path. She learns that solitude is not loneliness. It's the space where she finds clarity, creativity, and confidence. And when she stands on her own 2 feet, rooted in her purpose, she becomes her own source of validation. Her belief in herself radiates. It changes how she speaks, how she walks, how she treats others. She stops seeking permission and starts taking action. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't wait for doors to open. She builds her own doors. And when people ask how she stayed strong through it all, she simply smiles and says, "Because I believed I could." The power of self-belief is not about never feeling afraid. It's about moving forward despite fear. It's not about never falling. It's about never refusing to rise. A woman who believes in herself can change the course of her life. She can turn pain into purpose, rejection into redirection, and doubt into determination. She becomes a force that no obstacle can break because she carries her greatest weapon within her, faith in who she is and what she's capable of. That is the strength of a woman's mind. She doesn't wait for the world to believe in her. She becomes her own believer. And once she does, the world has no choice but to follow. Compassion as power. It is the most underestimated form of strength a woman possesses, the kind that does not need to shout, dominate, or destroy to prove itself. It's the strength that heals instead of harms, that uplifts instead of competes, that understands rather than judges. A compassionate woman carries a kind of power that transforms everything it touches. Her gentleness doesn't come from weakness. It comes from deep wisdom, from having seen pain and choosing not to spread it further. When a woman leads with compassion, she sees the world through the eyes of understanding. She looks at people not for who they appear to be, but for what they might be carrying within. She knows that every person fighting a battle may be wearing a smile to hide it, so she treats others with empathy, not assumption. Her mind is sharp, but her heart is open. And that balance, intellect combined with empathy, makes her presence healing to others. Compassion gives her a quiet confidence, a steady kind of strength that doesn't rely on control or dominance. She doesn't need to prove she's strong by being harsh. Her calmness, her patience, her forgiveness, and her care prove it for her. When people hurt her, she doesn't let bitterness take root in her heart. Instead, she uses that pain as a lesson on how to love without losing herself, and how to forgive without forgetting her worth. She understands that carrying hate only weighs her down, and her peace is too precious to sacrifice for the sake of revenge. Her compassion is not naive, it's courageous. It takes immense strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards coldness. It takes power to smile after betrayal, to wish good for those who caused harm, and to keep loving despite the risk of being hurt again. But she does it anyway, because she knows compassion is not about others deserving it. It's about her refusing to let cruelty change who she is. A woman with compassion doesn't mistake kindness for passivity. She knows when to draw boundaries, when to walk away, and when to stand firm, but she does all of it with respect. She can be soft-spoken yet powerful, gentle yet unyielding, forgiving yet wise. Her compassion doesn't mean she tolerates disrespect. It means she refuses to respond to it with the same darkness. That emotional maturity becomes her true strength, a force that quietly disarms the harshness around her. In her compassion lies her leadership. People trust her not because she demands it, but because she earns it through her empathy. She listens before she speaks, understands before she advises, and helps without expecting recognition. Her compassion makes others feel seen and valued. And that ability to make people feel safe is one of the rarest forms of influence. She doesn't just change minds, she changes hearts. And when hearts change, the world changes. Her compassion extends beyond people. It reaches her work, her purpose, and her dreams. She pours care into everything she does. Whether she's raising a child, running a business, or helping a stranger, she does it with sincerity. Her mind reminds her that impact doesn't come from titles or positions. It comes from the way she makes others feel. And her compassion leaves imprints that time cannot erase. There are moments when her compassion is tested, when people take advantage of her kindness, when her goodness is mistaken for weakness. Those are the moments that reveal her true strength. Because even then, she chooses to remain kind, but wiser. She learns to protect her heart without hardening it. She learns to love without losing herself. She learns that compassion doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means acting with integrity, even when it's hard. Through her compassion, she becomes a mirror of light in a world full of shadows. Her gentle strength inspires others to soften, to listen, to care more deeply. She teaches by example that real power is not in how much control you have, but in how much love you can give without expecting anything in return. Her compassion becomes her legacy. It lives on in the lives she's touched, the souls she's healed, and the kindness she's shared. That is the strength of a woman's mind, to hold compassion in a world that tries to make her cold, to stay gentle in a time when cruelty seems easier, and to keep loving even when life has given her reasons not to. Her compassion is her revolution, her strength, and her crown. Because when a woman chooses to be kind despite everything, she doesn't just survive, she transforms the world around her. Adaptability, it is one of the most remarkable strengths of a woman's mind, the ability to bend without breaking, to change without losing herself, and to adjust to life's unpredictable tides with grace and courage. The world often expects her to be everything at once, strong yet gentle, independent yet nurturing, fearless yet kind, and somehow she finds a way to balance it all. Her adaptability is not a weakness, it's proof of her intelligence, her emotional depth, and her unshakable will to keep moving forward no matter how many times life shifts the ground beneath her feet. When circumstances change suddenly, a woman with adaptability doesn't collapse in confusion. She observes, she reflects, and she evolves. She understands that change is not the enemy, resistance to change is. She doesn't cling to what was. She adjusts to what is and prepares for what can be. That is her quiet power, the ability to flow with life instead of fighting against it. She knows that seasons change for a reason, and so does she. Her flexibility allows her to survive storms that others cannot endure, because she learns to move with the wind rather than be broken by it. Life rarely goes according to plan, and she knows that. Plans fail, people leave, opportunities disappear, and situations shift without warning. But her adaptable mind allows her to turn uncertainty into discovery. When something doesn't work out, she doesn't see it as the end. She sees it as a redirection. She asks herself, What can I learn from this? What else can I become because of this? That question becomes her guiding light through change. She transforms challenges into chances and transitions into triumphs. Her adaptability shows in the many roles she plays. In one moment, she's a caregiver. In another, she's a leader, a dreamer, a builder, or a warrior. She shifts between them not out of confusion, but out of capacity, the ability to be what life needs her to be, while staying true to who she is. She may wear different faces for different moments, but behind them all lies the same steady heart, the same clear purpose. She doesn't lose her identity through change, she expands it. What makes her adaptability so powerful is her emotional agility. She can feel pain but still find strength. She can face disappointment and still hold on to hope. She can walk through endings and still believe in beginnings. When life forces her to let go of what she once loved, she grieves, she accepts, and then she rebuilds. She understands that holding on to the past only keeps her stuck, and that growth often requires letting go. Her ability to detach with wisdom and move forward with faith is what makes her truly resilient. Her mind knows that change can be uncomfortable, but comfort never created transformation. She's not afraid to step into the unknown, to start over, or to reinvent herself. She embraces the idea that she can begin again at any age, at any stage, in any place. Because she knows that life doesn't end when plans fall apart. It begins again in new and unexpected ways. Her adaptability gives her freedom, freedom to evolve, to explore, to rewrite her story as many times as necessary. Even in the face of uncertainty, she radiates calm. Others may see chaos, but she sees movement. Others may fear change, but she sees potential. She knows that the universe rearranges things not to destroy her, but to direct her. And so she trusts the process, even when she doesn't understand it. That trust is her secret strength. It allows her to stay balanced when everything else feels unstable. Adaptability also gives her empathy. Because she has learned to adjust, she understands what others feel when they struggle with change. She doesn't judge them, she guides them. She becomes a source of comfort and inspiration for those around her because her presence reminds them that transformation is possible. Her flexibility becomes leadership, not the kind that demands obedience, but the kind that inspires courage. Over time, her adaptability shapes her into someone extraordinary. She becomes like water, soft yet powerful, flowing around obstacles yet capable of carving through stone. She doesn't resist life's flow, she becomes part of it. Every experience, every challenge, every shift adds a new layer to her strength. She becomes wiser, more grounded, and more capable of handling whatever comes next. That is the strength of her mind, to accept change without fear, to reshape herself without losing her essence, and to rise again and again with new understanding. She doesn't just survive transformation, she masters it. Because a woman who can adapt cannot be defeated. She can only evolve. Purpose-driven thinking. It is the flame that keeps a woman's mind alive even in the darkest hours. It is the clarity that separates her from the noise of the world, the vision that keeps her moving when others would stop. A woman with purpose-driven thinking doesn't wander through life aimlessly. She moves with intention. Every step, every decision, every sacrifice has meaning behind it. She doesn't live just to exist. She lives to create impact, to make her days count, to serve something larger than herself. Her purpose is her compass, and her mind follows it with unwavering focus. When life becomes difficult, purpose becomes her anchor. Challenges may shake her, but they never destroy her because she knows why she's doing what she's doing. She may face rejection, exhaustion, or heartbreak, but her sense of purpose fuels her beyond emotions. She doesn't give up easily because she understands that the path to meaning is rarely smooth. She tells herself, if I know why I'm walking this road, I can handle how rough it is. That mindset turns her endurance into power. A purpose-driven woman doesn't chase approval or applause. She's not moved by trends or validation. She's moved by conviction. Her strength lies in the fact that she can walk alone if it means staying true to her mission. She knows that popularity fades, but purpose endures. So while others may seek to be noticed, she seeks to be meaningful. Her satisfaction doesn't come from how many people see her work, but from knowing that what she does comes from her heart. Her purpose might not always be grand or glamorous. It could be as simple as raising a child with love, helping someone heal, building something honest, or spreading kindness in a world that has forgotten it. But whatever it is, she does it wholeheartedly. She doesn't measure impact by size but by sincerity. Her thinking revolves around growth, contribution, and authenticity. She asks herself not, what can I gain, but what can I give? And that question alone sets her apart. Purpose-driven thinking gives her clarity when confusion surrounds her. It allows her to say no to what doesn't align with her values and yes to what truly matters. She learns to let go of distractions, the constant noise of expectations, comparisons, and doubts, because she knows that everything that isn't part of her purpose will only drain her energy. She becomes selective with her time, her words, her focus, and her company. Every choice becomes an act of alignment, a step closer to the life she was meant to live. When setbacks come, she doesn't see them as punishment, she sees them as preparation. She trusts that every delay, every closed door, every difficult season is guiding her toward a greater version of her purpose. Her mind is wired to find meaning even in pain. She looks at her struggles and asks, what is this teaching me? How is this shaping me? That reflection keeps her strong, grounded, and growing. Purpose gives her the courage to see obstacles as opportunities to deepen her faith and sharpen her resolve. A woman with purpose-driven thinking also inspires others without even trying. Her consistency, her discipline, her calm determination, they all radiate strength. People around her feel her focus. They see that she's not easily shaken by temporary things. She becomes an example of what it means to live intentionally, to wake up each day with a reason, and to build a life that matters. Her passion becomes contagious because it's rooted in something real, a cause, a calling, a dream that serves something beyond herself. There are moments when the path of purpose feels lonely. There are nights when she questions whether her efforts are enough, whether anyone notices, whether the struggle is worth it. But even then, she reminds herself that purpose isn't about being seen. It's about being fulfilled. She doesn't need external validation because she's already guided by an inner mission. That mission gives her peace, and that peace becomes her power. Purpose Driven thinking teaches her that success is not measured by how high she climbs, but by how deeply she serves. It teaches her that every role she plays, as a daughter, a leader, a mother, a friend, carries meaning when done with love. It reminds her that the most beautiful lives are not built on comfort, but on conviction. And so she keeps walking her path, slow or fast, celebrated or unseen, knowing that every step guided by purpose is a step worth taking. That is the strength of her mind, to live with direction, to think with depth, and to act with meaning. She doesn't drift, she decides. She doesn't wait for luck, she works with intention. Because a woman who thinks with purpose cannot be distracted, cannot be defeated, and cannot be forgotten, she becomes a living reminder that when your life is guided by purpose, every moment, no matter how small, becomes part of something extraordinary.